I wanted to share a story, one that I was told recently through a client, that she has a friend that lives on a golf course. So, what kind of comes with living on a course? Golf balls go flying, right? But what about golf carts? People have golf carts that they own, they use on the golf course in which they're living, and they take those golf carts and go back and forth to clubhouses and each other's homes, right? Well, they had a question because they were like, what happens if something gets damaged due to the driver of the golf cart? And I was kind of like, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, they had somebody that was coming back off the golf course and evidently lost control of the cart, not quite sure how yet, but lost control of the golf cart and ran into their brick structured mailbox. Totally demolished this mailbox, like bricks everywhere, golf cart damaged. And their question was, will that owner of the golf cart be able to pay to repair and replace that monumental type mailbox? Because it wasn't just a pole with a mailbox, it was an enclosure. So that got a good conversation going of, how is that covered? Well, if you have the golf cart scheduled on your policy or a separate policy for the golf cart, then yes, damage done by the driver of it, will be covered. If you don't have it scheduled because you are like, oh, I'm just going to drive it down the street, it's not really going to go very far, what could happen, right? Well, if you take that golf cart off your premise, there's no longer liability coverage with it. You have to schedule it, at least for liability. You don't necessarily have to cover it for physical damage if you don't think it's worth that much because maybe it's older. But if it's newer, you may want to have physical damage coverage on it. So with that conversation, she was able to relay some of that information to her friend, and lo and behold, the person did have insurance, and now she is getting her mailbox rebuilt for her. So, that's something that she is gaining because that person was properly covered. But it also started another conversation, and a thought process is, it goes for all those kind of toys. If you have motorized vehicles, you have snowmobiles, which are going to be huge here coming up, especially if we get a lot of snow. Those snowmobiles are only going to be covered for liability if you schedule them. That way, if you take it off premise, you've got liability that follows you. So if you have any of those toys that you're kind of like, do I have coverage or don't I? Or do I need it? Let's reach out and have a conversation because I want to make sure that you're covered properly and you don't have to worry about anything that may go wrong.